Walter, come on, man. This is the fourth time you got pizza up on the roof. Huh? What? What's that? Oh, you're right. It's time for another episode of
Words worth remembering, words worth remembering, words worth remembering. Remember them with me and the magnetic memory method.
Hey everybody, this is Anthony Metivier from magneticmemorymethod.com, the channel devoted to giving you every possible advantage when it comes to using your memory and memory techniques to learn a language, to improve your vocabulary in your mother tongue, or any other large learning goal where you need to have all of your memory intact and laser focused towards a goal. That's what magneticmemorymethod.com is all about. And so thanks for being here. This week's word is solvitur ambulando. It's kind of a little phrase, and I really, really love it. But before we get started, hit that thumbs up button. Let me know you're engaged. And you know what? Let me know what words interest you down in the discussion below, because a lot of these words that we're doing on this playlist, and again, subscribe if you want to be notified when we do these playlists and when we go live on YouTube to meet with you and have a little bit of Q&A, you know, your contributions are what make this thing sing. And I have all kinds of crazy words to share like this one, but it's really, really helpful for you. And I know people, they sometimes struggle. In a private group that I have, endeavor came up, and it's not really a visual word unless you know the spaceship Endeavor. And of course, we talked about that on our little live group there and came up with some ideas about how to memorize the sound and the meaning of the word at the same time. Now, in terms of solvitur ambulando, what does this mean? Well, it means it is solved by walking. And that's a really, really powerful concept to know and to have in mind, in memory, because if you ever have problems, well, those problems could be solved just by getting out and walking. So committing this one to memory isn't just about getting some memory exercise and learning some more cool words and phrases to throw around, but it's a life principle that can really help you out when times get tough. And one of the cool things about Walter White, who we're going to use in this episode of Words Worth Remembering, we're going to use another series dude, which is Walter White from Breaking Bad. And if you haven't heard my podcast episode on how to increase memory by watching movies and TV series, you're going to want to go and check that out. You can listen to the full episode, or you can just read through the written version, and there are some videos there that help you get a better sense of Walter White and the actual house where Breaking Bad was shot, which you could use as a memory palace. So that's what this episode is all about. I hope that you'll go and take the time to listen to it and read through it, because part of learning is to give all of your sensory perceptions a bit of a workout. So the more you can reinforce things by watching and viewing and listening and reading and then thinking and going back and reviewing, then the more you're going to remember. And the more you remember, the more you're likely to take action. And the more you take action, the more you can remember. So it's a really magical thing. But let's break this down, because Walter White is here to help us, and he's got some pizza up on the roof to help us remember solvitur ambulando, and that it means it is solved by walking. So we don't have that ambulance here anymore, just to make things a little bit more clear. But when we're using memory techniques, what we're doing is we're taking information that we don't know and we're associating it with information that we already know. So this can be on the roof of the Breaking Bad house, for example, or it could be on your roof or whatever. And one of the things that came to mind for me with Walter White is that he's often seen walking in the series Breaking Bad. And I also have a little bit of a tenuous connection here, because while I was watching Breaking Bad, I was watching The Walking Dead a lot. So what I'm doing is I'm letting my mind make multiple layers of connection, and he's just sort of a general figure there that I decided to work with because he's associated already with walking. And so we can think also, too, about the actual sounds and the meaning as separate entities, and then link them together, making multiple connections in the brain in order to help the brain wire these things together so they can fire together when we want to make memory solutions. So the other reason why Walter White is really interesting here is because he's a chemist, right? And he's a chemist who has to solve equations. Breaking Bad always has these equations in order to create better and better chemicals that he's involved in. Not very good and virtuous in that show, but nonetheless, it's part of solving things, and he also has to solve problems from episode to episode to episode. So these are, again, multiple layers of helping you remember, or helping me. This is an example from my practice. You would come up with your own, of course. But it's very, very powerful to understand that this is how the brain works, and it's how it allows you to recall this stuff very, very easily. And then we want to think also, like, what is about this tour sound? So we've got the solve thing, right? But what about the tour? Well, Alan Turing, who's pictured here, has that tour sound. And, well, guess what? He also was a code cracking guy who wrote codes and cracked them, and he's behind AI, early studies in that, and the whole Turing test and whatnot. So he's perfect here for both the sound and the meaning. So solvitur, right? So we've got that. And then if we want to think about the ambulo and that sort of sound, ambulando, well, what better thing than Lando from Star Wars riding in on an ambulance? You know, it's that easy. You just put these things together, you make the connection between the sound and the meaning, and what you're able to do is recall both the sound and the meaning like that. All you got to do is follow a simple process that I talk about on my free course at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT that you can take anytime in order to get the full explanation of how all this works. This is just an example of what you can do in your mind to start making these multiple layers of connection so that it's easier and easier and easier to recall any information. And in the case of vocabulary, you can recall the sounds of the words or the phrases and the actual meaning by being strategic about the figures that you choose. And you might be thinking, oh, that's too difficult, that's too hard for me. It really isn't. If you just get in and you start practicing this, and you go and check out that podcast episode and listen to how you can use TV series better, it's really, really simple, and you get better and better and better at it. And I know a lot of people who really struggled in the beginning, but just by diving in and getting started, it got easier and easier and easier, and the next thing you know, it's just on autopilot. It took me like maybe 30 seconds to come up with a mnemonic for this particular phrase, and I really love it. I'm so glad that I have it now, and it is solved by walking so often in life when we have these troubles. So listen, guys, thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up. I love the thumbs up. Hit me up with a suggestion for a future word in the discussion below. I got a couple on the backlog that we're going to be covering to show you more about how all this works. I want to thank you very much for being here on this show today. And don't throw any pizza on my roof, but if it helps you remember something that's going to make a difference in your life, throw a pizza on somebody's roof, or at least let Walter from Breaking Bad do it for you. Thanks again for watching this video, and until we have a chance to speak again, come visit me at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT for a free course. And until we speak again, keep yourself magnetic.
Words worth remembering, words worth remembering, words worth remembering. Remember them with me and the magnetic memory method.